Hello everyone, this is just a very short update on yesterday's Falcon Heavy test launch. There's of course a lot to say about it, but I will keep most of that for the later post-launch analysis, which I will make when more information comes out. Yesterday's launch of course was pretty exciting and pretty amazing. The staging went well, the max Q went well, it all worked out pretty well. The rocket as such worked, the main goal has been reached. The Tesla is in orbit, it is now on a mass transfer trajectory, which actually reaches quite a bit above the Hohmann orbit and into the asteroid belt. There has been a release of a final trajectory image. We've seen a lot of footage from the Starman in the Roadster. We've got a flawless parallel landing of the booster and a successful re-entry of the core. However, then we lost contact with the core, and now we're all wondering what happened to the core, and yesterday there was no definitive update, and that's really what I'll close on in this video. We don't know exactly, but there is some updates. We know that the center core landing failed now. We don't know exactly why though. Now I did say before that this is the riskiest part of the mission. However, the actual reason of the failure might be quite unexpected. Now, of course, the overall launch was still a success. They've tested the rocket, they've brought the Roadster into orbit, they've landed both the boosters, but the failure of the core landing might not be due to anything we expected. Now, one thing I would have expected was that the grid fins might melt off, since this is one of the fastest re-entries ever of a Falcon 9 first stage. And this didn't happen, obviously, because if that had happened, the Falcon core would have disintegrated about a minute before we lost contact, and we know that that didn't happen. There were a few early theories, like the grid fins getting slightly damaged and then still working, but not being quite as sturdy, and as they got into the lower atmosphere, the loads on the grid fins increased before the landing, and that snapped them off. Or the idea that due to the long range and long coast phase, something went wrong in the navigation of the first stage and it just missed the drone ship, maybe even missed the altitude and just smashed into the sea, thinking it was still 3 kilometers up or so. But SpaceX has now done a release of their first investigation, and they don't know for sure yet, but it seems like the engine relight actually failed, which is surprising because, I mean, that had worked on other Falcon 9 landings, and it's not really that different. Although, of course, the long coast phase might have something to do with that. It seems that of the pyro fuel that is used to light the engines, something I mentioned in my earlier videos about why you see a green flash at the launch of some rocket types like the Falcon 9, was empty, or rather used up. There wasn't enough pyro fuel on the rocket for the relight, and it seems they know even quite exactly what went wrong with what engine. It appears that the center engine has relit, and of course the landing would have been done with 3 out of the 9 engines. They don't need all the 9 since the core is rid of its payload and its fuel, so it doesn't need quite as much thrust, but they wouldn't land with just one, they'd land with all 3 engines, doing basically a suicide burn, slowing down just in time to land safely. And the center engine lit, the 2 other engines didn't have enough pyro fuel left to light, and thus didn't ignite, and thus only 1 engine was running, and that wasn't enough thrust to slow down the rocket, and it smashed into the water. The drone ship seems to have taken some minor damage, though it's not exactly clear how much. It will, however, be recovered. And we still don't know if the rocket actually hit the drone ship. It might have just hit the water right next to the drone ship, but it seems likely that it came down pretty near the drone ship, since everything went well until very close to the actual landing, so it was on a path towards the drone ship, and the rocket might not even, the flight computer might not have well reacted to the failure at all, so it might have just still guided it exactly onto the drone ship. So that's it for updates about the core landing that we've all been wondering about. The Starman and the Roadster are successfully in orbit. They're now on an escape trajectory from Earth, which will leave them with enough speed after leaving Earth to have a highly elliptic Sun orbit and reach all the way into the asteroid belt and of course cross Mars orbit. That's my short update for now. We are still all very excited over the Falcon Heavy launch, and we're still all waiting for further updates. I'm always open for any questions about spaceflight, and as always, thanks for watching.